So I've been thinking a little bit about the millennium recently, the end of the world, the last days. And there's lots of prophecies about good things that will happen in the last days that that are happening, that I have seen fulfilled in my life. And so I just wanted to go through, or that are possibly fulfilled. And I'm not saying that we are living in the millennium, but I do see or recognize and thank Heavenly Father, thank God, that He is making the world more millennial, more like the prophecies laid out in the scriptures. So, for example, in Isaiah chapter 2, we talk about on the last days of the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and all nations shall flow unto it. Jumping down to verse 4, he shall judge among the nations, shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And for me personally, so the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, that is a reference for me to temples being built in all nations, and people coming to the temples from all nations. And I feel like that's been happening. I think that the beating the swords into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks, I was thinking about, I personally own a couple of guns. I live in a very conservative state. I own a couple of guns, and I never expect to ever use them in a capacity against people. I use them simply for like shooting at targets. I might use them for hunting someday, but essentially they're a sword that's turned into a toy, into a plowshare, into something to maybe harvest an animal with, but even that, I don't use them for that. I use them only at this point for shooting at targets and blowing up watermelons, things like that. And so it's not so I feel like they are essentially swords turned into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks. I also think that lots of people in the United States, compared to the past, we don't learn war nearly as much. It's not like everybody has to learn war. Now we don't learn war anymore. And I feel like that is in the process of being fulfilled. And for many people, their lived experience is one where they don't learn war, and their weapons are just tools or peaceful things because they don't use them as weapons. Other verses that I was thinking about in Isaiah chapter 11, okay, starting with 4, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth, and he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. When I read that, I thought of the justice system and how we do things like we appoint court-appointed lawyers, and we try to improve the justice system. And in as much as we are doing that, we are fulfilling this prophecy that the wicked, the judges with the breath of their mouth essentially slay the wicked, and that with righteousness the poor are judged, that they aren't being treated differently based on their income. And I think that we still have a long way to go with that, but I think that we're making progress, and we're definitely better at doing that than we were in the past. And so we're making progress there. In verses 6 to 8, the wolf shall also dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play in the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. When I read this, I think actually of zoos, where you can see all these animals living peacefully in proximity to one another. I don't think it's quite at this level where the wolf is lying down right next to the lamb, but yeah, I think of zoos where you see children and wolves and lions all kind of mixed together in proximity to each other. They aren't lying down right next to each other, but they're close. And then also the idea that the lion shall eat straw like the ox. I was thinking about this, and I thought about our cat food. We have a couple of cats, and the cat food is mostly plants. Like, there is some meat, you know. But and that's it. We don't buy the best cat food. I guess the higher quality cat food is stuff. But I could see a situation um, where you have plant-based animal food, you know, and this prophecy is essentially fulfilled. That the lion's eating straws like the ox. Maybe it's eating, you know, Beyond Meat or veggie meat, you know. Anyways, so I thought about those, and I feel like those verses are in the process of being fulfilled, or at least are partially fulfilled. In verses 9, 10, and 11 says that they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign to the people, and to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. With this, you have the spread of knowledge and ensign, and I feel like modern technology has made it so that we can spread knowledge very easily. We can watch videos on YouTube, we can broadcast ourselves, we can print, like Isaiah is writing these words before the invention of the printing press, and now anyone can produce things, can type something up, can print it, can send it around the world, make it so that the whole world can know about God and about his wonders. And then verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath, from the islands of the sea, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. And this, I think, is a reference. You can interpret it either as one, a reference to the nation of Israel, where literally the children of Israel were assembled from various countries from all over the world to settle in Israel. Or you can view it as churches preaching and the gospel being taken to all the earth through the spread of Christianity and proselytizing, which I think is also happening. Anyways, so I was just thinking about God, and I was grateful that I feel like he is making moves to make the world more like this prophesied paradise. I don't think we're there yet by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we're closer than we were.